We've all heard the phrase, it starts from the ground up. And this is even more true when it comes to the human body, and it all begins at your feet. Well, when's the last time you did mobility for your toes and feet? Probably never, am I right? I'm Coach Matt Pippin, and today we're going to show these unsung heroes some love with mobility training that will strengthen them and get them to move better. Regardless of if your feet and toes are in pain or not, this is a must watch. If you're a runner, hiker, or even someone who just enjoys long walks, you need to train your feet, specifically your toes. Unfortunately, most humans wear these tiny little foot coffins called shoes. Think about it, your foot's supposed to look like this and then it gets squeezed into this, right? And now over time, this inhibits our toes and feet from moving properly. Then one day, you decide to go do your favorite activity and your toes and feet start to ache, or even worse, something really bad happens, like a tear or a sprain. Lack of function in your feet can cause problems like plantar fasciitis, tendonitis, arch pain, and even turf toe. Not only that, it can have a trickle-up effect, causing aches, pains, and tightness in the calves, knees, hips, and even your lower back. Now, fortunately, strengthening your feet can help with this. Strong feet start with the toes. Makes sense, right? Your toe function dictates what your foot does, kind of like the steering wheel of a car, right? If they can't flex like this, or extend like this, or move individually, the tissue of your feet will become weak. Now, for those reasons, we're going to work on the basics of toe training by first getting them to move independently of each other. Yes, this is doable, I promise. Secondly, we'll build better tissue quality in the muscles that flex your toes. So think like pulling your toes underneath your foot like that. And then those that extend, so kind of think like your toes coming away from the ground like so. And by the end of this coaching, you'll have the tools to get your toes and feet moving in the right direction. Now, first up, we're going to get your toes moving with a mobility exercise called toe cars. The goal is to divorce your big toe from the other little piggies. It sounds easy, but I assure you it is not. Now, think of this exercise as building the mind-body connection to your little digits. All right, guys, we're going to get into the toe car. So we have pretty much 5 exercises that we're going to do here, and we're going to break it down one by one. So the first one we want to do is we want to get the big toe to come up for extension independent of the other 4 toes. Now, at first, if this doesn't make sense to your foot when you try to go to do it, you can actually go down and manually assist it with your fingers. But in a perfect world, you should be able to keep all 4 toes down, and then we're going to pick that big toe up and then put it down nice and gently. Now, if all of a sudden everything else comes up, take your hand and just go kind of hold those toes down, and let's go get 10 reps. So we're just moving that toe. The other thing you want to think about here is not letting your foot roll to the side, so you want to kind of keep equal pressure down. So like I said, we're just getting 10 reps here, and this is just working that big toe into extension independent of the other 4 little guys. All right, that's 10 reps. So now what we want to do is we want to keep the big toe down, and we're going to lift the other 4 digits. Now, I know that's not completely independent, but we want to just make sure we have independence between the big toe and the 4. So once again, if you don't have that, hold the big toe down with your fingers and just work on picking those toes up like that. And then over time, you'll start to kind of get it. So make sure you get that pinky up. There we go, right there. The little guy in the end is usually the hardest part. It's almost like he has a little mind of its own. Let's get about 3 more. 1, 2, and 3. Now, when you were doing that, you're probably feeling that arch light up, and that's what's part of your big toe. It's controlling that big toe down. So now we're going to do the opposite. We're going to get everybody up in the air like so. Now, if this is a struggle, you just got to pull them up. And now from here, we're going to keep the 4 up, and we're going to touch the big toe down on its own. And this is where most people's brain to toe connection is just non-existent. We just want to work on that. Now, if you can't do that, hold the toes up, and then work on pushing that big toe down like so. And it's kind of weird with the toes. It's like all of a sudden it'll just click and you're going to have it. It just doesn't make sense right now, but all of a sudden over reps, boom, boom, you'll start to get it. Let's get 3 more here. 2 and 3. Now we're going to keep the big toe up and we're going to push the other 4 down. Now the other thing you want to think about here is not letting that ankle roll. And if you're struggling here, you just hold that big toe up. And honestly, guys, most people I work with, they have to hold their toes at least for the first week or 2 while doing this. And then all of a sudden, they just get it. Let's get 3 more. 1, 2, and 3. All right, last one, guys. Here we go. We're going to work on opening the toes up. So lift everything up, and you're trying to splay them. So it's like we're trying to get as much width. Almost think like you have those toe spacers in between. And then we're just going to try to touch down pinky toe, number 4, number 3, number 2, and then the big guy. Go back up, open, pinky toe, number 4, number 3, number 2, and number 1. We're going to go 3 more of these just for a total of 5. Open, and you should feel all this tissue on the top of your foot just kind of lighten up. And down, 2 more, open, touch, 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 down, last one, open them, open them, open them, touch, 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 and down, and relax. So those are your 5 exercises. So let's just kind of recap. First one, 4 toes stay down, pick up the big toe. Number 2, big toe stays down, you pick up the 4. Now we keep everything up, touch the big toe down individually, then we keep the big toe up, we touch the other 4 guys down individually, and then the last guys, we open everything, and it's almost like we're trying to piano each toe down individually. So we go usually 10 reps on the first 4, and then 5 reps on the last one. Next up, we're going to attack the big toe directly. Now, by utilizing a system called pails and rails, which is just a fancy way of saying isometrics at your end range of motion, will increase the tissue quality that moves the big toe. Remember, poor tissue quality is the reason why people feel aches, pains, and tightness. You build better tissue quality, and just about everything gets better. All right, next up, guys, we're going to work on our big toe extension pails and rails. So big toe extension is the ability to bring this toe up. This is where most people tend to struggle, because if you think from like a walking or a running or anything where you're moving, it's that ability of the big toe to be an extension as you land and then go and then push off. So the big toe is going to take a beating when you walk properly, and that's assuming that your big toe can handle it. So this is how we want to start to build up that tissue quality that I mentioned earlier. So we're going to use pails and rails, which just means isometrics. So the only equipment you're going to need is something to prop up your big toe, because essentially we're going to hold the big toe up in the air like this for about 1 minute to 2 minutes, just depending on your level. So we need some kind of prop. I got a dumbbell here. This works really, really well. Other options is like off the corner of a wall. So like imagine here's the wall, my toes are still on the floor, and my big toe is supported like this. So you just got to figure out something, just be resourceful, whatever you got around the house or in the gym. Rigs tend to work really well, so like the rigs with the barbell racks, if you're at the gym, you want to do this. So it'll make sense though once I start getting into it. So I'm going to work on the right big toe. So I'm going to have my 4 toes on the ground, and my big toe is nice and elevated. Now, if you are dealing with like any kind of aches, pains, or injuries while doing this, you have to find a position where this doesn't cause discomfort. Because if you're sitting there stretching in discomfort, like you're setting off red alarms for your nervous system, and it's not going to like it. So we've got to make sure that this is tolerable. And also, we're going to make sure it's tolerable when we start to do the isometric. So if you feel any pain, you just reduce the range of motion. You see how I rolled the dumbbell down, so my big toe came down a little bit closer to the floor? So that's how we would reduce it, all right? So from here, the sequence begins where you just find that good stretch. You might feel a little stretch in your arch. You might feel it kind of on the backside of your big toe. And just try to relax. So you would sit here for 60 seconds, especially if it's your first time ever doing this. And just like how you progress with weights, you can progress with how long your stretch duration is. But just for simplicity here, we're just going to assume we just sat in the stretch for 60 seconds, and now we're going to get into our isometrics. So the first thing we want to do is we want to drive the big toe down, because that's going to start to strengthen the tissue that's currently at length, which is probably the stuff that's most vulnerable. So right now, with about 50% of effort, you're going to drive that big toe down, and you're going to feel your arch kind of light up there. So let's do that for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. You're going to relax. Now, you're going to attempt, okay, that's air quotes because it's not going to happen. You're going to attempt to try to lift this big toe off of that dumbbell or wall, and you're going to feel this whole top part of the foot here. It's not going to move. If it moved, then you weren't really at your end range, okay? It's just the intent to do it. So go ahead and try to fire that up, and if you can, try to squeeze your other 4 toes down while you do it. That way we really divorce it. Here we go for 10, 9, you might even feel that all the way up into the shin, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and now relax. Go back into that original stretch. Now, if you're pain-free, you can probably make that stretch a little bit more aggressive because you probably have a little bit more room now. You just gotta make sure though, we're always staying in the pain-free ranges. I can't stress that enough. If you're constantly irritating that tissue, you're not gonna get where you wanna go. All right, we've kind of taken about 30 seconds, so now we're gonna go one more round. You're gonna start to drive that big toe down again. Once again, 50% effort. You can always go up in effort and intensity later. Right now, keep it nice and easy. Pushing down for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Feel where that tissue is coming from. 4, 3, 2, and now you're gonna relax. Try to pick the toe up. It's not gonna happen, it's just the intent. And if you guys could see here, you'd see the little tissue and the tendons on the top of my foot are trying to contract, but they're not moving. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and then you'd relax and then reestablish that stretch. Now typically when I get done doing pails and rails, I want to go use the tissue and the stuff that I just worked on so my body can, it's almost like hitting save on it. So from here I would remove the stretch, swing back around for you guys, and then now keep the 4 toes down and let's just pick that big toe up 10 times. And if you've been practicing your toe cars, then this should feel a little bit cleaner and you just have a better connection to it. That's just because we worked on it, right? So right now we're building that connection between the brain and the big toe. Let's get 2 more. And relax. All right, so just a kind of quick recap on big toe extension pails and rails. You gotta figure out something that'll allow you to hold your big toe up, and technically you could even do it like this. And then after about a minute, you would start to drive the big toe down, feeling the underside tissue for 10 seconds, 50% effort. And then after that, you're gonna try to lift the toe up. You're attempting, it's not gonna happen, it's just the attempt. You're gonna feel the top of your shin or the foot, and then you'll sink back into that stretch, and you'll repeat that one more time, and then hit save on your work by just picking up your big toe for 10 reps. The moral of the story here is don't forget your toes. As you felt, there's way more movement potential with these, and the stronger they are, the stronger your feet and the entire body will be. Now let me know how you guys did in the comments below, and we'll see you guys next time. Take it easy.